It's an experience. It's so good. Like I said, it reminded me why I love movies. What is good, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, and today we have a fried chicken wings mukbang from Golden City Chinese food. Happy Sunday, happy Super Bowl Sunday. If you are curious, I am picking the Chiefs, although I don't really care because I don't really have a dog in the fight. I just don't want to hear 49ers fans bragging about how they have more championships than the Cowboys. That's really my argument. If they win, good for them. I like the city of San Francisco, so Bay Area is awesome. So whatever. Today I'm going to be reviewing 3 movies. Well, it's more I'm going to be talking about 2 and then reviewing 1. Have you ever heard the good, the bad, and the ugly? Well, this is going to be the excellent, the okay, and the ugly. And we're going to go in reverse order from ugly to excellent. I have some sweet and sour sauce here with the wings. We're going to get into these, and then we're going to get into some flicks. I know I don't usually do 3 movies, but you know what? That's what we're doing today. One of them I have to talk about, and the other 2 I haven't talked about yet. Some nice skin on that. Delicious. Delicious. Got a nice little sauce on there. Hope everyone's having a lovely weekend. For the first time in a while, I had some alone time. Me and Q spend most of our days together. We spent a lot of time together. She was in Atlanta for a few days, so we had some time apart. I missed her greatly, but I'm glad she is home, of course, and home just in time for the Super Bowl. I'm going to be having wings later today, wings to go, but wanted these for the video. It is a rainy day here in Delaware, but I love the rain, so I don't mind it at all. A little bit dreary out, but it's some of my favorite type of weather. Something I love about the weather that just makes everybody go inside. When I was a kid back in the day, I would go outside and play in the rain. I would play basketball. Like, that was the days, like, when we played football. We had this, like, little mini field, I guess you could say. It's like this rectangle, you know, we go out and play football in the rain. You get your nasty clothes on, you get sweatpants on, you go out there, like, 6 of us play a little 3-on-3. Man, those are the days. Get wet, get dirty. Get nice sauce glaze on there. So guys, I am pretty much all better. I'm at like 95%. I had like a little tiny bit of congestion, but for the most part, I'm back where I need to be. I'm gonna be trying something that a good friend sent. I will shout them out once I try it. And to kind of remedy and fix colds, I just gotta get his okay. That's okay to talk about. He knows who he is. But just a little. If you guys have heard of sea moss, let me know down below. I never heard of it. I got it in the mail and started looking up the properties of it, what it does, and I'm very excited to try it. I can't wait. So the first movie I'm just going to be glazing over, I saw not this past weekend but the week before. It's called The Turning. It's a horror film based on a book, I'm sorry, called The Turning of the Screw. It's an old like 1800s book. And it's one of those movies when I saw the trailer, I was super excited. I was like, this is how we're getting 2020 started off. This is how we're getting the new decade in horror started off. I was excited. I was like, I can't wait. Finn Wolfhard is in it. Finn Wolfhard's from Stranger Things. He plays Mike. I love him in this movie. He's the best part of the movie. The movie didn't know what it wanted to be. It didn't know if it wanted to be a ghost story or a psychological thriller. It didn't know what it wanted to be. It kept pulling me, and I don't mind ambiguity in movies. I don't mind kind of theater of the mind thing, figure it out for yourself. But it needs to be a little bit more definitive, and there needs to be more. It seemed like there was a lot of empty dialogue in this movie, and just time wasted. Is it a ghost story? Is it a psychological movie? I don't know. It's an isolation movie. It takes place at this castle, this mini castle. These kids, these rich kids, their parents die, and this woman is called a governess. And she's going there to be like the little girl's live-in teacher. The book was written in 1800s, so it made the story kind of makes sense. But I felt like in modern times they should have used more. They could have used technology more to have fun with it. Camera phones, but they didn't. And I don't recommend it. So I don't want to wait. I got 3 movies we're going to be talking about here, so I don't want to spend too much time on that one. The story could have had a lot more potential. The ending just had me like, what? I was like, oh, I kind of get it. And then it just ended. You know how when you're watching the movie and then it kind of cuts to black, but you're like, I know this isn't the end. They're going to have another scene to kind of wrap everything up and kind of answer some questions. No, this one just ended and that was it. And you're like, what? I still don't want to spoil. Even bad movies, I don't want to spoil. But to say the least, I don't recommend it at all. Wasn't a good way to start off the new decade in horror. Now, anybody who watches a lot of, especially horror movies, or just movies in general, you know that January is not the best month for movies. They're just getting them off. It's not the summertime where you get all the blockbusters, or the end of the year where you get all the Oscar bait. It's kind of just like that. It's just like they're going through the motions. And I thought this was going to be different, but wasn't waiting on them. Next movie I'm going to be talking about is Gretel and Hansel, directed by Oz Perkins and starring Sophia Lillis. Sophia Lillis is the girl from It Chapter 1. She played the child version of the girl in It Chapter 1 of the of their crew. The Losers Club, I forgot their name for a second. This movie was okay. It wasn't bad. This chicken is delicious. Delicious. So, think most of us know the story of Hansel and Gretel, the two brother and sister. They go off in the woods. They go run into the witch's house. She has all this food. She's trying to fatten them up and eat them, whatever, you know. So this movie takes a little bit different take on that. As you can hear from the title, the names are reversed. The focus in this movie is on Gretel. So I gotta say this, it takes place mostly at the witch's house. Everything is very dead center in the movie, and that's kind of one small issue I have with a horror movie. I kind of want something to be off in the corner, but everything, it's shot very symmetrical. There's a lot of triangles. I don't know what that means, you know what I mean? But the way it was shot, it looks good. The woods to me is one of the creepier settings for a movie. Not only for a movie, just in general. I've never liked the woods. I think I've talked about this before. The woods is just creepy. It's like you're isolated and you're lost. It's like Blair Witch. I love the Blair Witch Project. It's one of my favorite horror movies. I know that's controversial. I know some people love it. Some people hate it. Some people are like, I don't really get it. But this movie uses the woods very well. It uses colors and the creepiness. It takes place like, way back in olden times, like 1700. I didn't really pay attention to the year. I didn't know the year, but it's old. You know what I mean? There's a lot of creepy imagery in the woods. They travel through the woods and they eventually get to the witch's house. So it kind of sets it up where she has all the food laid out. Hansel wants to go in there. Hansel isn't really a prominent character in the movie. Gretel she's kind of progressive for someone of that time. It feels like she speaks her mind, and she kind of just wants the best for her and her brother. Now they get to the witch's house, and the witch is creepy, but they're lost in the middle of the woods, and there's all these people that are popping up. They see as they're through their travels, so they stop there. Naturally, she has all this delicious food. Where the food is coming from? And basically the witch is trying to teach Gretel how to be a witch. And the story is kind of, it doesn't really have any twists or turns. It's just kind of like just coming to a nice slow halt. And that's okay. It just didn't really go anywhere surprising. But it was creepy. And I found out it was PG-13 before I first thought for sure this is going to be rated R, based off the premise of the story. This woman kidnaps children and eats them. That's the old stories, but I was like, I was also PG-13. But the PG-13ness didn't really ruin the movie. The movie was a lot of atmosphere. And again, isolation. I like isolation. I like minimal characters in the movies. I don't have a lot to keep track of. I don't have to worry about this happening, that happening. So the witch is teaching Gretel witchcraft, and then the story gradually unfolds. I don't want to ruin the movie, but I like a lot of the imagery in it. I like the wood setting. It looked very old. The house was very creepy, but also very welcoming. I thought, the witch was like, should I not trust her? But she doesn't seem that bad, But yeah, I actually do recommend it. So I wouldn't say I strongly recommend it, but it's decent enough. As a fan of horror, I was I was like, okay, this is a nice progression. The turning put a bad taste in my mouth. Gretel and Hansel it's a January horror movie, you know. Nothing earth-shattering, some creepy imagery, some good atmosphere. You know, I didn't mind it at all. I just hope things continue to get better and we continue to take more chances. The way it was shot, it could have been better, but Sophia Lillis is a great actress in it. I hope to see more movies from her. I've really liked her in the first It Chapter 1 that came out in like 2017. So the last movie I am going to be talking about is a movie that came out, well, first premiered in Cannes, which is a big film festival in France, but came out like nationwide, I think, in October. So it's real, or it might be even older than that. It might have been before that. Anyway, I know I'm way late to the party. I had a chance to go see it in the theater. I didn't, and I'm kicking myself for it, guys, because this is one of the best movies I would say the best made movie of 2019. It reminded me of why I love movies and like just I'm gonna get into it in a second. Let me eat this wing here, this drum. So the movie Parasite is directed by Bong Joon-Ho, and the only thing cooler than his name is him. It stars Kang Ho-sung, who plays the father. So it's basically, I'm not going to give too much away about the plot because this is a movie you have to go into cold. Go in there cold. I don't watch any trailers. Just go in there, watch the movie. Well, I left Peanut Butter. I ranked my movies and I didn't include this in there because I hadn't seen it. It's not fair to put that in the list. It's easily the best made movie of 2019. I would put it in my top 10 of the decade. Not even looking at movies that came out this decade without even going through it. And I would probably in the 21st century say top 10 as well without even going back and looking. There's not many movies that I've felt that strongly about. I mean, there's a few, and I'll probably do a list later on. So it's a lot. So it takes place in Korea, and they're actually speaking Korean. Disney, you know, movies taking place in a certain country, you should probably be speaking the native language. Small detail, but you know, important nonetheless. So it's about class. There's the family, the Kims, and basically they're a very poor family. They don't have jobs. They're looking to up their status, and so they find their way to infiltrate their way into this family circle of the Parks. The Parks are a very rich, well-to-do family. You know, got money, and very traditionally wealthy, where you have the father who's a very high-level successful businessman, you have the mother who's a housewife, you have a housekeeper, and they have 2 children, as do the Kims. And that is all I'll say about the story. They basically, the families get intertwined without saying too much. The one son becomes a tutor, but that's all. I'm not going to go into it too much. I wouldn't want to ruin this movie at all. But it is shot extremely beautifully. The way he uses the colors, the greens and the grays, and uses the weather, and the acting is so good. It's a completely original story as I saw it. I mean, I didn't really see that he took anything from anything else. It's the way I don't know. I didn't know at times when I was watching this movie whether I should be laughing or whether I should be like, that's not funny, but it's really funny. He towed that line absolutely perfectly. The line between humor and like it was dark comedy at its finest. At its finest. I was laughing at certain parts of this movie, and it's not like it's not like when you're watching like a Marvel movie and they make a corny joke. It's like, we're making a joke. It was just naturally funny. That's who these people are. The humor, the way the story is told, the way he uses stairs in the movie, the homes, and like and there's subtitles. So just a heads up. So you will have to do some reading. That is not a deterrent at all. If you let subtitles stop you from watching this movie, you are depriving yourself of one of the great movie experiences that you will have. And I went back and I don't look at a lot of reviews, but I went back and I was like, because I saw it did get a lot of Oscar nods, but the reviews across the board are absolutely amazing. It's up for a lot of Oscars. I love getting immersed into a world I know nothing about. I love it. And I'm not from Korea. I've never been to Korea. I haven't even ever had any Korean friends. So I know nothing about that culture. So and you're looking at both sides. You're looking at the rich side, the poor side, how they interact, how they talk when they're in front of each other, and how they talk when they're away from each other. You're just getting immersed in this world, and the way he tells the story. There's twists in this movie that are fun, the way they are done, and surprising. They're equally surprising, equally fun. It's just so good. Well, I'm glad the Academy is nominating it. It should absolutely win for at least one of those three things. It should win for Best Screenplay. It should win for Best Screenplay. That's all I'm going to say. I keep getting off topic of the movie, but I'm going in the Oscars, and we'll talk more about the Oscars when they get here. And I haven't had this channel. This will be the first time we're doing Oscars on the channel. I started the channel last year, like in April, so Oscars have passed. But guys, this is just the way a movie is shot. It's an experience. I'm kicking myself for not going to see it in the theater. I think they're replaying a lot of Oscar-nominated movies at Regal Cinemas. So if you have a Regal Cinemas, look it up. I would absolutely recommend going to this. If you're going to a theater and you see that this is screening there, skip Bad Boys, skip whatever you're going to see, the Will Smith animated movie, skip it, go see Parasite. Who cares if you have to read? Who cares at all? It's just the way they tell it's just, everything is good about it. The dad, Kim's dad, played by the actor I mentioned, Kim Ho-sung, I think is his name, and I apologize if I got his name wrong. But yeah, he's tremendous. It's funny, but he's also like a little bit off. But like I listened to interviews with the director, Director Bong, and like he just encapsulates like that Korean energy. Like I got a whole idea about how Korean people are just by watching this movie and watching his interviews. And he came out with a movie in 2006. I wasn't really paying attention to directors and stuff like that then. It's called The Host. And I watched it and I was like, this is the best monster movie I've ever seen. The best monster movie I ever saw. I saw that to a friend of mine at the time. The movie came out like 2006, I think, and I watched it a few years later. And I was just, he was like, it's better than Jaws. I'm like, yeah, it's better than Jaws because it uses technology, it uses family. The way this guy is great at writing characters. He's great at a family. This is a family story at the end of the day, and just class, rich and poor. I think we all can relate to that, whether we have money, whether we don't. And if I have any Korean subscribers, please let me know, like, what's the feeling of this movie in Korea, like when it came out. And this originally came out at Cannes, which is a big film festival. It won the Palme d'Or, which is like the best picture that was at the film festival. He got a 9-minute standing ovation, absolutely deserved. He had another movie called Snowpiercer that came out that stars, oh man, I forget his name. Nonetheless, the movie is amazing. Again, I didn't know who the director was, but looking back, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But this one is, and I'm going to go back. He has a couple of the movies I haven't seen. I'm so excited to just dive into his catalog and watch his movies. I don't care if they have subtitles. I love it. I love being taken into worlds I know nothing about. It's like when I was a kid, I loved hip hop, and I loved hip hop because it took me into a world that I knew nothing about, or I knew very little about. You know, I had seen it, but I never lived it. I don't know anything about it. I'm completely ignorant. But through, you know, poetry and storytelling from guys like Biggie and Nas and Wu-Tang and Tribe Called Quest, like, you just got taken into that world, and like, I love that. And I'm gonna be doing another list very soon that I put up on my poll of best gangster movies, and we're gonna be talking about another movie that does the same thing. There's a lot of them, but one that does, and that's what I loved about this. So like, I learned all about Korean culture, their sense of humor, and oh my gosh, I can't say enough about this movie. I know you guys are like, Scott, we get it. So guys, I can't recommend that. There's some movies I get on here and I'm like, you know, I recommend you go see it, which I do. This is beyond the recommend. If you're on any level, someone who likes movies, you need to see this if you haven't already. If you have seen it, please share your thoughts below. Do not spoil anything. Do not spoil anything. I will, if there's any spoilers, I will delete them. I don't like deleting comments, but if you're going to spoil this film, I will delete it because this is an experience that people should have. It's what movies should be. You know, it's a completely original story. It's creative. It has great characters. It has great atmosphere, the camera work, everything. There's not a wasted scene. It's like 2 hours and 10 minutes. So it's a perfect length. There's one shot in the movie and it's like 2 or 3 seconds long. I don't even think that. And I didn't know whether to be completely terrified or to laugh, because it was so scary but so funny at the same time, and it just catches you off guard. You're like, oh, what? And if you watch the movie or if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it just reminded me of why I love movies. And yeah, going back to what I said at the beginning when I was talking about it, movies that take place in a country outside of an English-speaking country should speak the native country's language. This is my big issue with Lion King. I reviewed Lion King last year. It was probably one of my first 15 videos, maybe first 10, who knows. But it takes place in Africa. It's looking like real-looking lions. But there's not one first off, they're not speaking the native language of the area, and the actors don't sound African. They don't sound like they're from there. They sound American or English. Beyonce is not from there. She's from here. Same thing with Donald Glover. Like, they're not from there. You should have people at least sound like it. But you should actually be speaking the language. That's what should be going on. Get people from there that know the language and have them teach. I'm sure they have actors in those countries that can do these movies. And we have Mulan coming out in March, the live action remake of Mulan that takes place during a Chinese revolution. Guess what language they're speaking in China? English. It doesn't make any sense, Disney. This is not what filmmaking is about. It's degrading to the art form to have a movie take place in China or Africa or wherever, and it's not an English-speaking country, yet they're speaking perfect English. They have no accent. They don't sound, the dialect is not there. They don't know the slang of that place. Just like I wouldn't want a movie, like a Russian movie that like taking place, I wouldn't want an American movie where they're speaking Russian or whatever. It's not, but you know, in America the prominent language is English and Spanish. Those are the two like languages that I'm acceptable here, and that's cool. But like Mulan, like, why are you speaking English? It like completely takes me out. I know I'm sounding like a movie snob, Scott. It's not that big a deal. It is a big deal. It's degrading to the art form. Are you trying to entertain? Are you, like, the studios are just trying to make a buck at this point. And that's why I'm getting tired of supporting a studio like Disney, who's just clearly there for profit. They're not there to make creative pieces of art. You know, this movie, Parasite, is a completely original story. And it's taking people, most people, outside of Korea, I don't know anything about their culture. Like, and we learned all about it in this movie. It's so good, it's so well shot. Like, why don't we have more movies like this? I can't wait for more stuff from this director. Him and Jordan Peele and Ari Aster are the guys I'm looking forward to seeing more from. I can't wait. Even Noah Baumbach, to a degree. He makes more. He did Marriage Story, which came out last year. He doesn't really make my cup of tea type movies. This dude makes my type of movies. He makes, like, they're thriller. There's some science fiction. This one didn't have any science fiction in really, but like he knows how to do genres. Like, he did a monster movie perfectly. He did Snowpiercer. Snowpiercer is really good. Like, oh, it's like that. It just, like I said, I know I'm very passionate about this. When I see a movie like this, it just makes me feel like that. Like, I'm watching the movie and I'm like, I like this, and then a twist will come, and I'm like, what? And the twist, and like, it's organic. It just makes sense within the flow of the story. It's so good. I ordered the DVD or the Blu-ray right after I got done. I was enjoying it before the twist, and then the twist get involved. The humor, and I can't say enough. Guys, please watch this movie. If you see it at Redbox, if you see it available, I streamed it. I'm kicking myself. I saw there was 10 movies last year I wish I didn't see. I wish I would have took this movie in place of, and never seen any of those. I probably would put it number 1. I still really love Peanut Butter Falcon. I don't know where I'd put it, but it's absolutely top 10 of the decade, probably top 10 of the 21st century. This is how movies are meant to be made. This is how cinema is supposed to be. It's supposed to get your heart racing. It's supposed to get you, like, wanting to watch this story and see how it's going to unfold, what's going to happen next. You don't know, but like, as soon as you feel like you don't know what's happening, something else happens where, like, the timing is perfect, the rhythms are perfect. Go into this movie cold. Don't watch anything about it. Like, I didn't really say that much about it that's gonna ruin it in any way, shape, or form. Just please watch this movie. Guys, I'm gonna be doing I put up a poll last week, and my one movie thing that was on the poll was my favorite gangster movies. So I'm gonna be talking about that either tomorrow or, yeah, I'm know what we're doing it tomorrow, straight up, no doubt. We're gonna do it on Monday. Talk about my favorite gangster movies. Guys, if you're watching this, put together your list of gangster movies. There's gonna be one on there that not gonna be on my list, that people are gonna get upset about, and I can't wait to talk about it. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate you taking out a few moments to join me for this mukbang and my thoughts on these 3 movies. Please let me know if you saw them. If you saw Parasite, what were your thoughts? No spoilers. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, please take care and be well.